putting a bow on a fantastic win out in Winston. We might just have a whole lot more to still talk about.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Wolfpack, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Happy Tuesday. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. As we always do on Tuesday, we're going to do a whole lot of nothing or a whole lot of something, putting a bow on this win out in Wake Forest. Before we begin to get you ready for another road game this weekend up in Blacksburg to see the resurging Hokies of Virginia Tech. Our first topic here, Kendrick Raphael has been a bit more effective than Michael Allen of late. Given the opportunity, we also know that Michael Allen endured an injury out in Winston, hoping for a speedy recovery there. But for the season, they have nearly identical stats. Whole lot of nothing or whole lot of something?
I'm struggling with this one because part of me wants to say whole lot of nothing, part of me wants to say a whole lot of something. And I know that that's kind of a non-committal non-answer, but this is tough because I mean, Michael Allen is one of those backs that he gets better as the game goes on, as he gets more and more carries and all that. You can just tell that he gets stronger as the defense wilts. But Kendrick Raphael is more of a microwave type of guy. Like, he's the guy that, you know, he can get it going right away, doesn't need a good amount of touches to kind of get in the groove of things. And so, you know, while that feels good and sounds good and all that, I mean, it doesn't always, although it did against Miami, it doesn't always translate into big runs later, which we generally see from Michael Allen. So it's tough to say, given all the things that we've seen and given that we've seen Michael Allen take some massive hits that have, you know, kind of had him be banged up and whatnot as of late. I'm going to abstain from this one. I don't want to give it either one at the moment. I'm going to be that guy and be all Switzerland or neutral in this one and not take a side here.
I'm going to go a whole lot of something in a good sense. We're a very pro Michael Allen podcast here. We think he has a very bright future still here at NC State, but I think Kendrick Raphael has been very impressive in some of the bursts that we've gotten from him lately. I think overall, I think I would say that Kendrick's vision is just a little bit more progressed than Michael Allen's is. Michael Allen, he tends to just kind of bounce it too far outside when he needs to just shoot the gap and get downhill. Kendrick Raphael has a little bit more wiggle to him. He's able to break through that second level and then see what he's got from after that. Michael Allen's just kind of point A to point B type guy. But I think this is an interesting conversation because you could be looking at a real RB1 back. In a good sense here, this means that both of them are starting to produce more consistently. And once you raise that level, you have two very solid running backs going into next season.
Yeah, and in today's game, I don't even think it's so much of an RB1 battle as it is like, hey, this is our Thunder and Lightning. This is our duo that are going to get it done, you know, through a variety of situations to where whichever situation the other guy's best suited for, that's where we'll go to him in. Yeah. But I could truly see something special happening.
Much like a lot of other schools, and even you see it in the NFL, the running back position has sort of become running back by committee, and NC State is no different here. So next one. Following Saturday's performance, NC State now has the 14th best run defense in the nation, and that's also good for third in the ACC. Virginia Tech's quarterback Kyron Drones is a true dual-threat quarterback. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
What do you mean by that, Grayson? No, but seriously, a whole lot of something here. This is a defense that, you know, I've talked about this before, and am struggling to pick this game this week because this is truly an irresistible force versus the immovable object matchup here. You have a run game that when it is rolling, Virginia Tech is extremely hard to stop. But their running game has been proven to be stoppable at times this year. And then you have a running defense that while they struggled early at times, while there were, I want to say, what was it? 3 out of 5, our first 5 games, we surrendered a 80-plus or 70-plus yarder on the ground in each of those games. We have not seen those big plays surrendered as of lately, especially not the same clip that they were being given up at to start off this season. And so I think that that's a whole lot of something. I think, again, you've got big on big, clash of the Titans here. Who's going to take it?
It's definitely a whole lot of something because it's a big-time test. And Kyron Drones is a threat that we haven't quite had to deal with quite yet. I'd say maybe Cam Fincher of Marshall was a bit of a dual threat, but we held him to virtually nothing. And so Virginia Tech behind Kyron Drones they are progressing. They're starting to stack momentum themselves. They're playing a whole lot better now than they were to start the season, much less last year when we saw them in Raleigh. And so this is a fascinating matchup, especially the way the NC State defense has played lately, like you mentioned, but another test on the road. Like I mentioned yesterday, I wanted to see how the defense packed it up and took their show on the road. They did that. Now, can they do it again in a more hostile environment against what I believe to be one of the biggest dual threat quarterbacks in this conference? Certainly a whole lot of something that we're going to be watching for on Saturday. And then this next one here is also a Virginia Tech question. We're going to be diving more in depth with their team tomorrow on Wednesday. But Virginia Tech, because I just told you they've been surging lately, they may have just recorded their best win of the season last week, but it was on the road at Boston College. Whole lot of nothing or whole lot of something?
I say a whole lot of something because that not only was it against a Boston College team that was on the second longest winning streak in the conference, one of the longest winning streaks in the Power 5. And I know that 5-game winning streak, people are going to say, oh, well, there weren't any good teams included in there. Multiple of those games were conference games. So let's be very clear about that. Yes, they weren't exactly world beaters that they were playing there, but those were, conference opponents. And I'm not saying that they're great. I know that Wake Forest was in there. I believe Virginia was in there, all that good stuff. Sure, a win is a win is a win. So, this team getting bowl eligible after starting 1-3, that's a big deal. But when I look at why this is a big deal for Virginia Tech, they had not won on the road yet this year at all. At all. And they played teams that with all due respect to everybody that they played so far, they played teams that I am comfortable saying that team was worse than this Boston College team has been so far. For example, losing to Purdue on the road. Come on. That is a Purdue team that has won a whopping 3 games this year. 3. So, at the end of the day, that was a big deal because that was that team proving themselves that they don't need Lane Stadium to win a ball game.
We're actually using very similar logic here, but I'm going to go with a whole lot of nothing because I don't think you can really look at what they have done so far this year because they've played so well of late. I think you throw out essentially what they've done before because this is a team that looks a whole lot different now than earlier in this season. And so because of that, NC State needs to show up, get off the bus for this one. I know we're already, I think, 2 or 3 point underdogs in this one. I like that. I want to be underdogs in this one. I want something to prove on the road in this one. And so I'm not so concerned with what Virginia Tech has done. I'm concerned with what NC State will do on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. We are 2.5 point underdogs at the moment. And, I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, hey, we won 3 straight games. 2 of those we were underdogs at home. This one, underdog on the road. How does this team react? How does this team show up? It's going to be a big test. We'll see.
Up next, we have Kenton's Locked On Look of the Week, a look inside one of the best plays we had on Saturday out in Winston-Salem after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first sponsor of the day is Jace Medical. We spend a lot of time talking on this podcast. We get fired up about all the wins. We get in our feels for all the losses. We talk about who starts, who sits, and all the plays in between. Today, we need this chat to be a little more personal. Whether you're on extended travel, bracing for a major weather event, or limited by yet another supply shortage, you are now covered thanks to Jace Medical. They provide life-saving antibiotics and a long list of daily medications that can be ordered in a 1-year supply. Even ED generics for Cialis, Viagra, and Revatio prescriptions. So go online right now at jacemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on daily medications. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. A verified customer had this to say about Jace, quote, "I'm thankful for this service. Supply chain issues caused me to cut pills in half in order to have them. I ordered most of my daily meds with a year-long supply. I've also now ordered the antibiotic kit. I now feel secure. Prices are lower than local pharmacies, and I highly recommend this for everyone," unquote. If you or someone you love would love to get peace of mind by having a year-long supply of daily meds, go to jacemedical.com. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Jace Medical. Now time for everybody's favorite Tuesday activity. We have Kenton's Locked On Look of the Week. Kenton, what do you have for us?
Grayson, give me my darn theme music. Today we are going with the reverse/end around situation with Kevin Concepcion. And for those of you who are just listening on an audio platform and not watching on YouTube, get on YouTube. But if you can't for whatever reason, I'm going to go ahead and describe this thing out to you, okay? So the offensive line and the tight end number 49 here are blocking this thing up as if it's outside zone to the left, or a split zone situation, if you will, which is what it's supposed to simulate with Trent Penix rocking back across the formation and Brendan Armstrong coming with him, right? Because when you see this, you think, well, the quarterback could pull it, and then he's got Trent Penix coming around with him, and, you know, he could dump it off to him in the flat or whatever route Keanu Lassane is running, he could hit that as well. But for the purpose of this play, it is a pure reverse. Now, I didn't draw up what the defense did this week. I apologize, but I was very confused by what they were trying to do, as they look so confused by the end around here. So what we're going to do, hand the ball to Michael Allen. He's going to pitch it back to Kevin Concepcion. Concepcion is then going to be led by Penix and Armstrong, and Keanu Lassane is coming in and setting a stalk block on whoever is the first guy inside to come out. Penix and Armstrong are responsible for collecting any trash that gets through or anybody who stays home, and then boom, packing the mail. Hopefully KC's gone. Now, as you can see in this second frame, this is the play is already going. Allen has now pitched it back to Concepcion. Allen is in the process of being tackled by a defender who thinks he still has the ball, and Concepcion has one man to beat in number 91, but if you look at the direction his hips are facing, he has no shot of making this play. Trent Penix is about to block number 14 with Brendan Armstrong, who's a few yards away coming with him, and Keanu Lassane. Meet number 3 at the spot. Get nasty. Get physical. I'm talking stuffing or dressing or whatever you want to call it on Thanksgiving nasty. That's how nasty I want you to be on this block. And this young man fulfilled the call. As you can see in this frame, if you're looking at the top of the screen here, Keanu Lassane put number 3 on his behind. Mr. Lassane, what are you doing? That's what we love to see. And Trent Penix pushing number 14 out the club. He said, no hats, young man. He doesn't care if you're bald. He doesn't care if you don't got a lineup. You're wearing a hat in the club. Trent Penix is getting you out. And then you got Brendan Armstrong, the QB1, coming out here to set a lead block. And this defensive back is saying, hey, listen, Brendan, you've been through so much this year. You know, you've had a hard year, and I really like you as a person. I'm a good guy. I don't really like trouble. I don't want no smoke. I'm like the guys in those early 2000s. You don't always die from tobacco commercials with the voice box. I want no smoke this way. And so Brendan Armstrong gets an easy block there. And I'm going to quote the great Vince Lombardi, even though it's still redacted the Packers. You've got a seal here and a seal here, and you run it in the alley. The two seals that form the alley are where the dotted lines are drawn, and they were created by Trent Penix blocking number 14 and Brendan Armstrong blocking this defensive back to the outside here. And so KC is able to get it up in the alley. But when he gets to the alley, defenders are coming over the top to try to cut him off. But the problem is number 14 and number 9, both of their hips are facing downhill and outside. Kevin Concepcion's hips are facing uphill and inside. They cannot recover quickly enough to make this play right away. And so, as you can see, the alley is formed. KC packing the mail. He's gone out the back door. Now, Trent Penix. Trent, your blocking is phenomenal. And I mean this. I have seen a bunch of really phenomenal plays of him blocking. The Miami play, Kendrick Raphael's touchdown, he watched the guy inside about 4 or 5 yards, put him on his back, threw him out the club again, which, by the way, Trent, I get it. They've got a strict no white tee policy, but brother, you're creating a liability for the club putting your hands on people like that. And so in this play, okay, Trent is faced with a very interesting decision because slightly before this frame that I froze it at, these two guys are giving chase to Kevin Concepcion, and the only two that have a chance to catch him. You've got Chelin Garnes, number 9, a defensive back, 5'11", 207 pounds. And then you've got the 227-pound linebacker who is 6'2" or 6'1", Dylan Hazen, 228 pounds. I'm sorry, Dylan Hazen. My brother in Christ, when you have the decision of, oh no, my guy is free and somebody has to catch him, and there are two potential people who can catch him, always pick the smaller one. Trust him to outrun the big guy. And Kevin Concepcion, if he would have got this block right and got number 9, and you get ran down by a linebacker with one leg sleeve and a white towel that matches none of his other drip in the year of our Lord and Savior 2023, my brother in Christ, that's a moment you got to look in the mirror and have a conversation with yourself. I'm just being honest. I'm just being very, very honest. You got to have a conversation with yourself when you get ran down. So great job, great execution. But next time I want to see KC dancing with Mrs. Wolf. You know what I mean? Don't get too jealous, Mr. Wolf. He's still one of ours. I don't want you to hurt him. But I want to see this young man in the end zone doing his best celebration, telling the kids, I told you I was going to get 2 of them things, and this is the first one of the day. So great play, great call. Robert Anae, stay in the kitchen. Keep cooking that type of stuff. And I'll tell you, the next progression off of that is using KC as a decoy. Because everybody is going to catch on and say, okay, wait, they want to get the ball to 10 at all costs. Well, what happens when they do that? They get undisciplined. They leave the other guys open and available. So, at some point in time, I'd love to see us take advantage of that.
Yeah, that was my next point, in that Robert Anae has been cooking, which we've been talking about. But imagine this same play, but you've now put it on tape with KC, but instead of KC, now you use Julian Gray, who is faster than KC is.
Yeah.
That'll play. Yeah. That'll absolutely play.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, just another great effort from Anae, great scheme, great execution from the guys in the blocking, and just nearly had another KC long run for a touchdown. But
and watch this. Maybe let's not even get too foolish and need to do something new with it. What if, we've lined up KC in the backfield before, have we not?
Absolutely.
What if we run that exact same play? The only difference is you get KC where Michael Allen was, and you get Julian Gray where KC was. You know what I mean? Just try it out. No reason to be skeptical there. You basically set up a punt return or a kick return, rather, for Julian Gray. And as we've all seen, Julian Gray can go bang his head on the goalpost with the best of them after a good kickoff situation.
Yeah, so, that's definition of putting a defense in a lose-lose situation.
Exactly. Like I said, seal here, hit the alley, go score, brother.
Up next, we're going to round out our Tuesday episode with a little bit of a discussion on what time we're going to play UNC after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second sponsor of the day is LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have the best access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Add your job and use the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile in order to spread the word that you are hiring. Then use simple tools like screening questions to make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you would like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, finishing up Tuesday with a little bit of scheduling news. As predicted, NC State and UNC's game slot has been placed on a 6-day hold, awaiting for the results of this weekend's games. Now, there's only so many options that this game could fall into, one of which is an 8 p.m. slot, the primetime slot on ACC Network, and I think the other most likely slot is probably noon at ABC. Would you have a preference in what time that NC State will play UNC? They're either going to be 9-2 or 8-3, pending the result of their game against Clemson this weekend. How do you see this playing out?
I swear to you right now, if I were to see this game be announced as the 8 p.m. primetime slot, I will start singing Higher by Creed as high and as loudly as I possibly can. Listen, to a place where blind men see, because I need this game at 8 p.m. I do not want this game to be at noon. I mean, I get it. It's rivalry week. There's going to be a bunch of really, really interesting, really important, really good games going on. I'm not discrediting that at all. I'm not saying that does not matter or that should not matter at all. But what I am saying is, this is, if I'm talking about this from an NC State perspective, the national spotlight is on you. And the national spotlight is on you in a moment where you get to meet the quarterback that everybody said, well, you know, y'all stopped him from going to New York last year. And he's looking for revenge. He's eyeballing some revenge. He's licking his chops. You know, y'all got players who have had to sit out and be ineligible, and they got a receiver over there who everybody in their mama, the governor, the AG, everybody that you can name, every famous person who's been around the state of North Carolina has come out to say, oh, we need to let Tez play. What better way? What better way? What better time? What better place to have your primetime game? Because I'm a firm believer in sink or swim. At least you got the chance. At least you got the chance. What better way to say, hey, if you want to win, if I was Dave Doran and we won this game, I would do the full Suge Knight come to death row moment. I would do it. If you want to come to a place where you don't got to worry about your fans waiting for basketball season, you don't got to worry about your coach dancing in all the videos, come to NC State and then drop the mic and walk off. You know what I mean? It'd be what a moment with the red cup. And I know he's going to have the cigars on the sideline ready to roll. Man, I couldn't wait. In the words of Trey Songz, I can't help but wait to see when this game time is announced.
To imagine any and every promo would be cut for this one in a primetime slot. I don't know if I have a preference, because I think whether it's at 12 noon or at 8 p.m., both are kind of primetime slots if you think about it. But give us the 8 p.m. Everybody wants it. I mean, I would imagine that there are UNC fans that also would want that primetime slot, because this is a big game. They're having the season they're having. We're kind of having a resurgent season all of a sudden. It's a game that needs no introduction every single year, never short on drama every single year.
Never.
Got the new scoreboard. We got the lights. This will be Carter-Finley Stadium at its absolute peak performance if we get this 8 p.m. slot. Make it happen. Now, I also think it's relevant to mention this. We're not overlooking Virginia Tech, because the result of our Virginia Tech game will probably bleed into what the time slot is that we get.
Yeah.
So if we want that primetime slot, you got to take care of business first on the road to
Make
Blackburg.
it a top 25 matchup. Make it a top 25 matchup. Don't make it there's one ranked team and then their rival who's close to rank. And I get it. You don't control who's ranked and who's not and all that. But I guarantee you, it's hard to put a Power 5 team that is up to, that would put us at what, 8 wins on the season? Yeah. 8 wins on the season going into last week. Power 5 team, 4-game winning streak. It's hard. Actually, no, that would put us at a 5-game winning streak at that point, wouldn't it? Because if we beat Virginia Tech as well, and then going in. So it's hard to put a team at a 5-game winning streak going into their final game of the season as an unranked. But even if that is to pass, you at least have the cachet of, like, you're probably the most voted on unranked in the nation at that point. So, you know, make it hard on them to not give you the 8 p.m.
Give the people what they want. We want that 8 p.m. primetime slot. Make it happen, baby. That'll do it for us here on Tuesday. As always, thank you so much for tuning in with us. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. We'll get to all of those comments. Mash that subscribe button on our climb up toward 900 and beyond. We will see you all tomorrow on Wednesday for a review of Virginia Tech's season up until this point. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.